Yeah, this is a little heads up before we get started. Make sure you go and subscribe. That's the call to action right there. All the Killa Kela podcast links are all in the desirable areas. SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes. Make sure it happens. Enjoy the show, people.
Instagram UK Frontline.
Beatbox created.
Killa Kela.
And we're here to talk about world music and street culture.
Killa Kela podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Killa Kela podcast live. How are we feeling? Old school.
Baseline.
Make some noise. How are we feeling? Wow, we're live in here. Let's get this thing popping. Who have we got inside the ride? VT, run it, please. Tonight we have the embodiment of street culture himself. Graffiti writer, b-boy, producer, DJ, drum and bass icon and celebrity. The mighty Goldie is inside the arena, talking on his legacy, past and present projects and more. Also inside we have the mighty FAZER from the UK crew N-Dubz. Having multiple chart successes and home runs in the UK urban dance genre, we talk to him about his legacy, past, present, his solo music and N-Dubz. This guest is not for the faint-hearted. The bad man and memes and satirical laughs is inside the arena. Poundland Bandit. This is his first time on any network show, so get the popcorn ready. This one's gonna be unforgettable. As just witnessed, we have this generation's beatboxer. The unstoppable Reeps1 is inside the building. We're talking mouth music, beatboxing, and world championships from a Harvard lecturer. Welcome to the show, Reeps. And lastly in the ride, we have the awesome live music from Deyah, fresh from her new EP and a bunch of tunes to go. She's going to be performing with us later and hanging out throughout the show, plus profile pieces and a ton more good stuff to come. This is the Killa Kela podcast live stream. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Killa Kela podcast. How are we feeling? Make some noise! I can't hear you, make some noise! I love it when this happens. It gives me the greatest of pleasure to introduce you to the live stream, which is now officially in full effect. You saw me doing my little thing round the back there. Well, of course, you've seen who's been on and who's in play and who's who's inside the arena right now. We've got a whole bunch of people in the back as well. People in the back, you feeling all right? Yeah. Yeah, man. Guests, ahoy. Well, let me introduce to you the first person of this podcast adventure. Now, when I think of street culture, I swear to God, he was the benchmark and prototype. He's more or less the reason why I even do a podcast. This is graffiti legend, producer extraordinaire, DJ, pioneer, you name it, he's done it. Would you please make some noise to the mighty Goldie inside the ride? How are you? How are you?
I'm very well, very well. How are you?
Looking very well. Can I have some more noise for this hero, dude? Wow. How's it been?
It's been a minute. It's been a minute. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well. You seem to be in Thailand, is it a lot?
Yeah, we're
doing
in
a lot of
Asia.
Thailand business.
Yeah, we're in Asia 9 months of the year, which is good. So I'm enjoying that.
What's the deal with that? How come?
It's just a lovely place, and it's a different environment. So we're in China a lot with art. We've got an art company set up there. And so that's pretty successful, going really well. And we have a recording studio there, so we're recording pretty much from January all the way through to March. We record.
Really? So okay, so you really split up. You you break it down and take it into different times of the year.
Yeah, we just spend our time doing that, and I kind of like the art seasonally. So I'll paint for 4 months of the year, and then we'll record at the back end of the year. So it's kind of cool.
Dude, that is so sick. I love the way you transition between each. See, this is exactly what creativity is about. It's exactly what I expect from you. Do you know what I mean? I love that stuff. Let's take it back. Let's go right back. Let's go back to the start, because I remember you very, very vividly within the documentaries, the b-boys, the graffiti scene. Like, it was a very hazy sepia time for me, and I'm sure it's even more sepia and hazier for you.
It's really, as I remember nothing about that era. It was a great era. I mean, that era, the 80s for us was, we were still reflecting on Americanism.
Right.
And we still kind of are in a sense, but I think that culturally, we were following New York graffiti writers and the whole hip-hop influence, and then all of a sudden it's kind of exploded in the UK. And rave culture came, and then that was really all she wrote. It just became this really great hybrid of what British young youth culture was doing. Yeah. And my growing up was really important. We're coming on the back of ska and a lot of dub.
You're not the only person to say that. A lot of people say, before hip hop, it was two-tone, ska, dub, that sort of thing.
It was all rude boy. It was that's what it was about. I mean, especially here, especially this area. You think about where this is. You think about what ska was and punk, and that the Clash and all this real big influence that was happening. And I was 70s. I was always buying 7-inch records and a real mix of the culture. Wow. And I think that really shaped what UK rave became, really, on the back of the Beatles and everything else, really. You think about sampling and everything else.
That's crazy, isn't it? I mean, actually, Don Letts doesn't live too far away from me. No,
Mr. Letts doesn't live too far from here at all. No.
Yeah. Like, it really was a nurture ground for. I mean, London has that as a whole. But you aren't originally from London, are you? You're originally
I was originally from Wolverhampton. Thank you very much. And for Goldie, Wolverhampton. UB40 slayed at Christmas. And I was hanging out at Birmingham, going to all Deyahs. My thing was all Deyahs. It was always about going to all Deyahs, which I kind of like what Printworks are doing, because they've got these all day things going on, these all day raves. So you can see how people are twatted now, as opposed to like waiting for them to come out in the dead of night. But the idea of parties on a Sunday. We were about all day, so we could hear like British soul bands like Loose Ends, and we'd pick up a lot of jazz funk stuff.
Oh, that's the sickest.
And that whole scene came, obviously, B-boys, we would go to those parties, and we would be the people they didn't want to let in, because we kind of have the rowdy parties and breaking, and they would go for a soul party, and we'd be breakdancing and kicking it off. In Rock City, Nottingham was a really infamous place, really.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
Rock City was really a good thing for us, but yeah.
Rock City was crazy. I mean, I've played there a couple of times as well. That's really nurtured the drum and bass scene as well.
Well, it's a community set. When you think about what the word community centre, I mean, even this for me is like a modern day community centre. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of that vibe, really. It is, yeah. You lot just keep drinking. But it is that vibe of people getting together on a social aspect as opposed to loads of social media. It is a place for people to meet, and I think the interaction of people generally going out and clubbing. I think that's why I'm really opposed to people trying to shut down all these great clubs that have really nurtured British culture, and it's a sad state of affairs. But let's not get political about it.
No, of course. But at the same time, what you're saying is that the scene itself has kind of moved away from what essentially would have been a spectator sport. It's not a spectator sport back then, but it's become that, hasn't it? It's all a sudden.
Well, I think if you want to celebrate people getting Blue Peter badges and this culture for 30, 40 years. You have to understand what this country's built on. It's built on people going out and having a drink on a Friday night and having a great time.
Too right.
So having a culture is very, very important. 100%. And the spectator sport that it is, where's that next culture coming from? Because usually it's just shrink wrapped and put into, onto Spotify, so to speak. But
absolutely.
Each to their own, I guess.
I mean, you've seen the Graff scene. Let me just stick to the non-spectator, the athleticism of it. You've seen Graff evolve, and you are definitely you've started from that inception of like graffiti becoming this superstar status. I mean, come on guys, let's give it up for the G-Man right here, for Christ's sake.
No, but I think that now, everyone looks like me in that sense now. I used to look really odd in the 80s wearing a light blue goose down, you know what I mean? Like, now every kid I see has that street style, I'm 53, I ain't no young buck. But my daughter wears my Stussy, do you know what I mean? So it's kind of, I couldn't wear my dad's big collars, if you know what I'm saying, but it's kind of cool, it's cooler now. But
that's
Graff,
a really good point, actually.
Do you know what I mean? In style-wise, your kids get into this retro thing, and we did that. But I think, you know, New York graffiti and the whole explosion of that has been so culturally important. You look at, you know, Saturn and these guys now, these kids doing this stuff now. I mean, Love Pusher, what an unbelievable writer. I mean, it's just another level of writing.
Fuego.
These guys, you know, and you look at all these other great writers. I think it's become, in the same way that you look at Stance Elements or, you know, in terms of B-Boy Pocket, for example. It's an Olympic sport.
It is, and it should be respected in the
should
same
be
way.
respected, and they're doing stuff physically that it defies gravity.
Well, let's move on for this for just 1 second, because I do remember, I'm not sure where I saw the excerpt, but I saw drum and bass and breakdancing come together on a particular, it might have been Dance Energy or one of those kind of things, and I remember there was a profile piece.
I don't know if it's a good mix, I don't know. You probably have an heart attack before you finish what you're doing.
How did that come about? What was the transition for you with drum and bass? Like, how did that get into
I don't know, I think for me it was just, the KRS-One thing was a great thing. I always wanted to work with him, and I went to Hit Factory in New York to do that. But I felt that b-boy culture was this, you know, the breaks and editing breaks was something that was it's a science, man.
Yeah, for real.
I think what Metalheads does, it's never been a spectator sport. It's a science what we do.
That's what I'm talking about.
And the artists and what they do. But I think for me, seeing where breaking is now and seeing where graffiti is now, it makes me really, really happy.
Yeah.
It's just a great feeling to see a lot of a real, and you can't, the thing about Graff, you can't lie. You're either good or you ain't. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
And it's the same as breakdancing. You don't really lie. You can dress up and you can have all the fashion you want, and you can take as many selfies as you like. You can have as many pictures, as many poses. But when it comes to breaking and it comes to painting, that expression is raw. You can't download it, man.
No, you can't. It's in the soul. It doesn't cost anything. You don't earn money from doing the thing you love. And like I was saying about this the other day, it's like on Instagram, it's so impulsive to just post a skateboard thing. Now these kids are getting paid. I think they're doing it because they love the sport, and it's the same with break. I
think with any culture, the money comes. It's like yoga. It's a byproduct. The money comes as a byproduct. If you know, I always think that a truthful idea lasts forever. It's just very simple.
What are you saying on now? Never a true word said. You know what I mean?
No, but it does. I feel that if you just do the art, the rest of the stuff comes.
Yeah. For
real. There's some great people doing art, and I think that they're making a business out of it is a thing now, which is kind of cool too. Yeah,
for real. So we get to Metalhead's Timeless, that album. I mean, the acclaim, the accolade, like we were talking before. I mean, this was of a time where it was, you know, Oasis and these sorts of acts. It's insane to think that it cut through and how important it was as an album, bro. So important.
I think that as an album, there's just a couple of things that happen. When the science changes with technology and the ideas are really clear, culturally, things happen. Yeah. You know, and I think that it was great timing for that album. But people forget that album, there's 7 tracks on that album that had already pre-existed within drum bass culture anyway. Saint Angel was already out as you know. As
but that's always the way, even when you build your first album, isn't it? It takes a little bit of time. Yeah. You've always got the whole of your life for the first batch of what is an album.
Yeah, that's what you do. You put that for me is that's the coming of age album. Whereas something like Assassin's Return is a really a deeper album, a deeper beast. But I always think that it doesn't matter about people saying, oh, it's pioneer. I don't think the word pioneering is the right word. I think moving target's a better one, because then it was never really about. It was about trying to make a lot of change with what was going on socially as well. Yeah. It wasn't a thing that was loaded with my own lyrical content, for example. It was like a sound that was reflecting its environment.
Super emotional.
And also trying to work with other people. I mean, I'm not, I think growing up in the environment I've grown up in, I've always been with different people. So working with musicians or working with singers and adapting to what they're into and trying to make it part of your own thing, it's that kind of no man is an island thing. I have a lot of time for young people on the label. You know, a lot of these artists on the label, like AI, for example, been on the label for like the last, 20 years. Oh, wow. And they're still providing cutting-edge, integral D&B music. It's almost like D&B became the Motown of electronic music.
Whoa, that's cold.
No, but for us in the way that we see it, that we know, even though we signed the check, we still cut the corner off it. We know what it is. Yeah. But the independent labels, I think, have always been the steadfast for us. Yeah, so I think that the Hoxton Square. It's changed. Sure, when we were doing Blue Note in Hoxton, there was nothing.
Bro, I remember that time.
But there was nothing there. It was just one club, and probably 50% you know, the kids that used to go there would get stopped coming out of there. It was always like a thing, a perimeter around Shoreditch where you'd always get stopped and searched. It was the thing. We just take the piss. Yeah. But that club was culturally really important because the people that stood up in that club weren't just musicians. They were graphic designers, skateboarders, dreads, punks. You know, people who just wanted to go out and really interact with other people. And 9 times out of 10, if anyone stops me and says, I went to Blue Note, they're doing something now. Yeah, they're really culturally kind of doing something that's really cool.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I always used to go to. I mean, it was kind of default. You know, it was a Thursday night, wasn't it? It was a Thursday night.
It was Sunday night.
Sunday night.
You're talking about speed. You're probably talking about speed.
Yeah. But then, I just remember so vividly going there. It was awesome. And you're still out there doing it now. You're still DJing. You're still going out. It's almost like. It feels like it's like you're at your peak now, man. It's still like.
Well, I think we're in Asia. We're building. We've got a brilliant studio called 100 in KL. There's a guy called Gary Bowen and Frankie Bowen, who've got this amazing setup there, and we're about to launch. It's kind of a really beautiful project. There's about 7 albums that I'm putting out through this outlet there. Damn. But it's also the soundtrack for the TV series, which I've been writing for the last 25 years.
TV series too.
And that's Cine Temple, which is Without Time in Latin. So that's finally happening now. Wow. It's taken a long time for that project to happen, but I think now I'm at the maturity of where as a director I can pull it off in a way I want to see it right. And in terms of the writing, it was the writing process for me has also been a healing process. And I don't think I would have been able to do it. You know, 20 years ago, I was getting a lot of money from a lot of record companies to do stuff. It was kind of like, it kind of fell short to, if I would have had the money, then it wouldn't have worked out. But the new setup in Asia has allowed us to grow the gallery. You know, we've got the gallery happening in Bangkok, which is the 9th Street Gallery we're doing, and we're building that. We have the house and the studio in Phuket, and we're just building these albums. We're just finishing off the stuff there in Phuket, Sick. And we're just getting ready to launch this, you know, these projects.
This is music to my ears, brother. And listen. I could talk forever about that. Like, I hope this is only just the beginning, bro. Like, for all information, standard as usual.
I think it's for the art, it's Golden Artisan. Yeah. It's Golden Artisan Asia.com. I don't know. It's whatever it is. You'll find me out there. Golden Artisan Asia. Yes, there you go. My production manager right there. Golden Artisan Asia. And for the music, it's metleds.co.uk, you know, for info and stuff like that.
Amazing. Brother, thank you
God bless.
so much
Peace.
for passing through.
Ladies
and gentlemen, wherever you are, would you please make some noise for the cultural icon, the man like Goldie? Woo! Hold tight. Ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time. We're ready for the VT. It's about that time to get SJ inside the ride. SJ's on the floor talking to everyone out there. SJ, what's good out there, honey?
Okay, so Mr. Brown all up in the green room. We got SJ getting her shizzle together in the corner. Can we see SJ? There she is.
I just spent a credit by myself. I'm a self. Bitch, I've been on there with a self. Longer waited, now I'm coming out of stealth. Did it cause it's how I fucking felt.
Hi, so I've just run into one of our live performers tonight. We've got Deyah in the building.
Hello, hey.
So how long have you been rapping for?
About 11 years, but I took it seriously last year, so I kind of just, last year. I'll say that I did, like, professionally last year, yeah.
You look kind of baby-faced. How old are you?
24. Do you know what? Some people think I'm about 12. I swear, I've been ID'd for glue sticks before, so it's just...
For what?
Glue sticks. So annoying. So yeah, 24 though.
Ah, well, I heard a little story about you had to change your name or something like that. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so I was known as No Name Disciple like a couple months ago, but there's another rapper in Chicago, he's a female rapper as well, called No Name, and people shorten my name to No Name because No Name Disciple's long, so in interviews or like performances, people would sometimes mistake me for her or thought it was going to be her, and then I'd get booed off stage and stuff and they didn't realise they thought it would be her, but it was me, so I had to change my name.
Well, I like your name. And I just want to show, look, we've kind of coordinated tonight. We've got a camo and the ponytails, so I'm liking this fashion, yeah. Are they misguided?
Yeah. Ah, yes! Bitch, I've been 100 with a soap. Longer waited, now I'm coming out of scope.
Well, this is something a little different. And it's something extremely important to me that we bring up. according to my cue cards, we have the most notorious, the most villainous, the most interesting, satirical, mean, bad man in the planet. And he's here today for the first time on network. Would you please make some noise for my G, Poundland Bandit inside the ride? Yes, my guy. Yes, my guy. Oh, the most sexiest. Now, have you used one of them before? You have used one of them before, haven't you? Microphone. How are you feeling? Is it working? Is the microphone working for him? 1, 2, 1, 2. How are we feeling? Yeah, you good?
I feel like this one's still not working.
We got you rumbled. Hold on. What are we saying? Ladies and gentlemen, let me just break this down here. I'm going to break this down while they sit your technical difficulties, okay? We're going to share this. So, Poundland Bandit is hugely successful in the Instagram world. Now, for those of you that do not know the story behind this guy, complete and utter beast mode. He's like that guy that will literally go out and terrorize any genre, any type of character that might be in the Joe public. Am I correct?
Yeah, I suppose so. It's a bit of a misconception, though. It's like, people think, if I come out, meet people at bars or I do an event, like, he's just going to be an arsehole and, like, take the piss out of people. It's not. It's not that. If you dress a certain way, you do certain things, it's cool. Just don't be an arsehole. If you are an arsehole, you get targeted. End of. That's how it is. Yeah, that's how it is, basically.
I find it interesting. Are there people that you know out there that play to that kind of character, and you're sitting there and you're with a guy in a pub, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, you know what? He reminds me of one of those kind of blokes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's all observation, isn't it? I get a lot of people who are friends of mine being like, I seen what you posted the other day and what you said the other day. Is that about me? And 9 times out of 10 it isn't. But if you feel like, is this about me? You fit into that category. You know what I mean? That's how it is.
I remember the first time we actually met each other, and it was alongside my G Drax. Hold tight, Drax, inside the ride. We had this super common understanding and a passion for metal and more so punk music. I had no idea you were such a hardcore fan, like a hardcore punk fan.
Yeah, it's like people do that all the time. Like when they book me to play or wherever, they're like, you look a certain way, you talk a certain way. You're from South London. If you're going to DJ for us, you must like garage and jungle now. And I grew up with that, so I love it. But I also grew up in a hardcore punk scene. That's what I grew up with: skateboarding, bit of graph and that. But that's my first love, is like hardcore punk, and that's what it is. And people don't really, because they never ask me questions. You know what I mean? Anytime I've done an interview, they've been like, in magazines or whatever, they've been like, oh, you must be into this and that. They never go, what do you actually like? What are you into? They just assume that I like this and that, you know what I mean? It's a bit like, just ask me about myself. Ask me what I like.
That actually is a really good point, because you're constantly providing this kind of satirical, comedic entertainment, and you never ask what the fuck, you never got that question, do you? What about me?
It's always like, since the thing started, I think it's been about 2 years now since the page started. Every interview I've done has just been, how did you start the page? How do you get your inspiration? And it's all to do with the page. It's not like, so aside from that, what do you do? What are you into? What do you like? It's always just stuff about, it's always, I can name the same 5 questions that every single interview I've done, they've asked the same 5 questions every time. How did you start the page? How do you get your material? How do you deal with people getting pissed off about it? Have people recognised you? And it's never, so what are you into? What do you like? It's never that, ever. You're the first person I met when we first met with Andy, hold tight. You're the first person who I ever met who was like, what you actually into? And me and you clicked on straight away about thrash metal, power violence, hardcore. We clicked straight away when we met. And you're the first person who asked me about that.
You know what? I find music so interesting, and often it is the groundbreaker. But as you know, people get this idea of what you are off the jump, because you could be a little bit obnoxious on a particular page or on a particular, because even your comments are just so gunning. You're just machine gun. You're on people. it's almost like you've almost pre-written the comments before you've actually gone in and put it up, you know?
With the comment thing, that's something that no one who's interviewed me has ever asked me, and they're like, why are you so like, when people comment stupid shit and they try and get a rise out of me, I am that petty. I will rise to it and I'll say something horrible. But it's the same as, would you pay 50, 60 quid to go see a stand-up and sit in the front row and heckle him? What the fuck do you think is going to happen if you heckle him? He's going to single you out in front of everyone and make you feel really embarrassed about yourself. And that's how it's always been. But the funniest thing about that is the people who do it, 90% of the time it's like private profiles. Like, you know, they're just like fucking cowards hidden behind shit. You know, they're just random people. But they don't realise 90% of the time their full name is in their fucking username. I don't have Facebook, but I can Google your name and find you in 5 minutes. I'll be like, oh yeah, you said this about me, or I bet you're just some pikey from a council estate. Yeah, well, it took me 2 minutes to find you on Facebook. Your dad's a Tory. You live in Hampshire. You went private school. Come on, geezer. Come on, geezer. And it's like, you usually, like, you know, if someone's... I love having a back and forth with people. And a lot of people who I've had big comment threads with, like, arguing and all that, they message me and be like, you know what, yeah, I don't actually mean offence, I just thought it'd be funny. I'm like, you know what, yeah, fair play. It was funny. People loved it. It was a good back and forth. But then there's them people who just take it a bit too... And then they end up crying and messaging me, oh, it was only a joke, mate. I'm really sorry. Well, you know, fair enough. It is all a joke, but also you're a piece of shit, so...
I get scared for them. It's almost, sometimes people post things, I'm like, oh no, they just did. It's almost like they've kind of gone into the mousetrap, and it's like, oh, you know. So, is there any like correlation between you doing a stand-up, you know, because there is online humour to this. Is there like a correlation of you being a stand-up character and performing in theatres and shit?
Well, that's actually a wiki question. Fair play, Lee. But yeah, I've thought about that because everyone in this room knows who has an Instagram. It's not going to last forever. It's a platform that's been around for years. A lot of people have done well off it, and even if they were around beforehand, a lot of people have prospered off Instagram, especially. And like me with my thing, that is only a thing because of Instagram, but it's not going to last forever. So I've got to think about different avenues, like what I'm going to do afterwards, or what can I do to keep the content fresh. And I have thought about doing stand-up, but I never thought about doing stand-up as I wouldn't even call it a character. Like, just like I'm like this normally. I just don't wear a mask. And for anyone asking, it's because there are people in here who will start asking me for fucking child support if they saw my face. I heard some whistles at the back. You know, you're not getting any money though.
Ladies and gentlemen, listen, we could talk forever, but I think your art speaks for itself. And if you guys are not in tune with Poundland Bandit on Instagram, I suggest you get on and do so, okay? It's been a pleasure having you on, brother. Would you please make some noise for the Don, the one and only Poundland Bandit? Yeah, you know it. We got enough love inside us. So let's just take it here for a second, because we are going to go VT. We were at a very, very special event only a couple of weeks ago, actually about 10 days ago, alongside the mighty Insa. Insa is premier graph writer. He's come from all over he's doing his thing. Oh, here we go. Here comes trouble. Normski in the place. We were there. We were doing it. What are you saying, Norm? I want to give away a few things. We've got a few G-Shock goodies. Who's got a good pair of hands? Let's chuck some stuff out here. Hands up, people! Watch the... There you go. That's the first one. And look, check this out. We got this... Go on, do you want to do a chuck? Do you want to do a throw? Do a throw. Right, this is some limited edition G-Shock Insa bits and bobs. Yeah, you know it. As modelled, that's right. Give it a good lob. Ladies at the back, hold up your hands. You know what it is. Are you ready? Okay, give it a bung. Give it a bung. Give it a bung. Oi, oi, oi! Listen, without further ado, let's jump straight into this. We was in Carnaby Street alongside the awesome Insa G-Shock. Normski, hold tight. Let's see you in there. Run that VT. Come, go on. Ian, what time is it?
G-Shock time, bro. What are you saying?
Killa Kela podcast live on location, VT style. How you feeling, Norm?
I'm feeling great. You know where we are, though, don't you?
We're in Carnaby Street right about now, innit?
Central London, Donland. That's where it all comes from. Right now, though, it's all about 15 years. Insa, the UK's finest, one of the UK's finest. Right now, he's the top boy.
Yeah, top boy Graff writer, collaboration with G-Shock, 15 years in the making. The launch is here. We're going to go and check it out, right?
Yeah, let's go find this man and have a talk with him.
Hold tight, crew. Come follow us. Come on in. Ladies and gentlemen, inside the ride, give you the man, the myth, the legend, Graffiti King, Insa inside the ride. How you feeling, brother?
Good. Hello. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice. I haven't seen you in years.
Well, I just asked you because apparently it was the Spit Kingdom days.
Yeah, permanent. We were down Stockwell. Stockwell, wasn't it?
Stockwell?
Yeah.
So is that the
was
history?
a long time ago.
Yeah.
With Solo One, painting a production down in Stockwell. Yeah, 15 years ago.
Yeah, we can throw out numbers at this stage.
You know,
Just 12, 13, 14, 15.
Well, no, actually it's interesting you say that because right now we're on a 15-year, I would say, anniversary.
That's what we're celebrating tonight.
It's a 15-year anniversary of Insa Graffiti Fetish.
Yep.
Right, 15 years.
Yep. There was kind of a crossover. It's around 2004.
Yeah.
It's like the crossover time. It's when I was kind of getting bored of Graff. You know, bored of that world and wanted to do something new.
I'm not so up on the whole Graff history, even though I'm part of the history, because, you know, we're talking subculture stuff here, where writers know about writers, and you know, 21st century, 2019, people are just realising that you guys been painting for like 25 years or something.
Yeah.
Now, how long have you been painting for?
Well, that's what's crazy, is like this, we're celebrating 15 years, we're celebrating 15 years of one style of work. But like, I was painting, like, it's funny, I literally just did an interview the other day and I was looking back and I've got a copy of like Subway Art for Christmas 1989.
There you go.
So I started painting when I was 11 years old.
Yeah.
And so that's like 30 years ago.
I hate
to state how old I am, but that's 30 years ago. And so
your pixelations are looking beautiful.
Oh yeah, you know. Graffiti raised me, graffiti taught me the world, but I definitely got to a place where I kind of wanted to deliberately sidestep out of that. You know.
Explain that, because when I think of your style and your trajectory, it's mad. Like you really adapted to, like, you went into clothing, you've gone into like apps, you've gone, and this style is so refined. Like, there's not a lot of people.
What I want to know is what is it that you know, you got bored of something? What, like block writing, the original graffiti style?
I never want to come across negative to writers. I love everyone, but I was kind of at a point where it's like I felt like there was a lot of gatekeepers and a lot of people like, you know, were not, you know, they're not allowing you to be expressive enough, and the big pink heels were kind of a real rejection of that.
But also, nobody else was doing rounded, feminine,
and I wanted
sexy.
Well, like there's some few simple things, you know, like you give a kid a pen or chalk, the first thing they're going to draw is a dick on a wall. I wanted to try and counteract that by drawing vaginas on a wall.
Wow.
You know? Graffiti is like letters and rigid. I wanted to go a bit more conceptual and a bit more like into ideas where, you know, I can wrap buildings in this kind of covering. I want to sexualize buildings, or I want to comment on the sexualization of products. So that's why these are wrapped around high heels. They're wrapped around cars.
Gotcha. Totally.
So I'm kind of really trying to like make a point about the kind of materialistic objectification. So if I can objectify, like break down like the key signifiers of objectification, like ass and heels and legs, and then put that on a product, I'm now objectifying that product more, and like making a point on this materialistic want or this lust.
This is only part one.
Freaks full of instant beer, you know.
Oh, this is only part one.
Total
We're going to revisit
balling.
this.
Anyway.
Ladies and
Insa,
gentlemen,
listen, bro.
hold tight, Insa.
Big love to you, man. Thank you so much.
Insa, brother. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we still inside the ride. We feeling good? Big shout out to Insa, of course. Listen, this is the grand opening of the weekly graffiti season as well. We're starting that every Thursday, as well as the regular podcast on a Tuesday. We ain't sleeping on that. But listen, we're here for 1 hour and a month, and we're going to keep it moving. I go by the name of Killa Kela. I hope you're sharing all this stuff on Facebook as well. Make sure you share all this shit, okay? Don't sleep on my repeat. It's about that time to bring an award winner on to be my G. Would you please make some noise for FAZER? Yes, my G, yes. Well, we're on one microphone, unfortunately, which is a shitstorm, but we're all good, My brother, it's a pleasure to be with your company. Thank you so much for making the time and making it happen, bro.
Absolute pleasure, man. Thanks for having me down here today. What's going on, everyone? Is everyone all right today, yeah? Fantastic. I'm just seeing if you lot are alive in the building.
Yeah, you know it, G. So look, I'm getting into this right here. Now, I know a lot about you and your history in music, but there's some things up on these little pieces of paper that I'm like, no fucking way you did that. For real, like, I can't get over, like, the levels of, like, behind-the-scenes production, mobos, I mean, and some of the producers you've been working with. I mean, obviously, it all stems back from the N-Dubz days, and I'd love to get into that as well. More so on the backline with you as a producer. Have you always been a producer? Has it always been something that you've been a part of as well as rapping?
I kind of started like rapping first. And when I was in high school and I met Daps, and it was kind of crazy because his dad had a studio at the time. And he was just like, do you want to go to a studio and just write some raps at my dad's studio? So we ended up going to his dad's studio, and we made our first record down there, and we needed like a singer, so we got his cousin to come down, who was Talisa, obviously. And from then on, I kind of just took it on my own to learn the equipment and stuff like that. It was kind of self-taught. I never went to like production school or anything like that. And then that was like when I was like 12, 13 years old, and it's been going ever since, day in, day out. There's been no sleep, no rest for the wicked type of thing, you know what I mean?
I mean, I love the way that organically happened. The idea of like, you're just in the back, in the garage doing your thing. What was the system? What was the equipment you were using to begin with in those early days?
We had an old PC. Do you remember them old tower PCs and that? Like, and we had, it was Logic, and it was owned by a company called E-Magic before they sold it to Apple. It was the old school vibes and that, like crazy.
Hey, you producers out there, you know what we're talking about. We've got FAZER in the back. He's teaching you guys, schooling you guys.
Them days were pain for the producers, bro. You're trying to make a cut, but you could never get the perfect cut anyway.
Oh, the perfect cut. I mean, dude, after a couple of drinks, I always lose the perfect cut as well. I was like, but yeah, I mean, did you ever have any idea that like those tunes that you were rapping on and you guys were just like kindling, did it ever come to your mind that it would pay in such dividends and your profile and...
Hey, I'll let you guys know something, yeah? You see, the whole time we was working since we was 12, 13 years old, we knew that we was going to be the biggest band to come out of this country. We knew it. We had the self-belief. There was no one that could tell us anything different. And I got to give respect to like Dappy's dad, because at the time he was the one that kept us off the roads. We brought up in a place where you can get involved in some serious stuff very, very quickly because your friends are doing a certain thing and that, like, do you know what I mean? But yeah, it is what it is, and he kept us on this path and had this self-belief that we was going to be the biggest, and it manifested. So it just goes to show, if you do believe something, you're here, innit? You know what I mean?
I mean, listen, I get different reports with different guests that come on. Obviously, everyone's all different. One thing I definitely get from you is a huge playfulness. Like you're exuberant. You know, you really know how to... You must be a ton of fun in the studio, man. You must be awesome. What's the processes? How did you get into the swing in the studio?
The studio is always a vibe. I make sure I got my friends around me and some utilities, and also my computer and my brain. And I feel like I love making music, I love dancing to music, and I love making things that people can move to and appreciate. So I feel like when I'm in a studio session and I got all my friends and people in there and they want me to sort of execute, it kind of gives me a certain pressure where it's like, all right, let me just make something that's absolutely sick.
Do you love that though? Do you like the pressure?
I thrive off that pressure. You see, I done some stuff, yeah, in South Korea. It's crazy, yeah. And they had all these guys, yeah. They was like they didn't even speak English, and there was a translator at the back of the room and everything like this. And every time I said something, he would speak in Korean and translate, and then the guy would speak and translate back. But it was just like they were sitting in there in their Hublots and their Rolexes and their suits and this and that, looking at me like this little young brown boy from London. Yo, hey. Listen, make these guys a hit right now. Standing there, and I'm looking at these guys. I said, yeah, is this what you lot want? And I made a big, massive record for like the biggest sort of band to come out of South Korea. It's crazy.
What are we saying, people? What are we saying? Yeah, you see the alcohol's kicking in now. We're all wide awake now, ain't we? Yeah, we're all in the audience now, ain't we, gang? You know what I mean? Originally from Camden. All of you are originally from Camden. What's it like? Goldie, he comes from an adverse place and he came through. Do you think there's that aggression in wanting to like get the fuck out and just like move forward and not look back in a way? Not so much look back. You know what I'm saying? It's like from the ground up. Do you think there is something in that?
I feel like when you grow up on like next to nothing and stuff like that, and you experience certain things in your life and you want to achieve certain things, I feel like when you have that sort of mentality, it kind of gives you let me try and find the words. It kind of gives you more of a sort of incentive to go absolutely hard with no holds barred. No one can't tell man nothing type of attitude, and I'm just gonna go for it. And I feel like with us, if we put that mentality into anything, like we're gonna succeed and stuff. Like, you know what I mean?
It's determination. I've got a hand out. That's sick. It's what it's all about, isn't it? You've got to have that. It's the drive, isn't it? You know. I would argue that's probably why we're sitting here, the two of us, you know. It's the same determination and drive. Let's have a look on this then. Let's really get into this. So it says here, Def Jam Recordings boss L.A. Reid was a fan of N-Dubz. Am I correct? Is this right? You said no?
We signed a worldwide deal with Def Jam, and they wanted to market us in a certain way, and we didn't want to be marketed in a certain way. So we ended up turning the deal down in the end. We signed the deal. We got the money in the bank and everything. And when they wanted to market the album and stuff, we wasn't happy with the marketing plan, and we argued it to the point we just ended up walking away from the deal.
How did that feel at the time?
Hey, we felt like some bosses, I'm not gonna lie. What? Def Jam? No, but all respect to Def Jam, they got a massive history and they've done wonders for artists, but I feel like at the time, maybe if we revisit a later date or something like that, then maybe we can make something work. But at the time, I feel like the way they wanted to market us was not correct. We was doing a TV program at the time, being N-Dubz. I don't know if any of you guys saw that. But they wanted to continue that same thing, like 3 young kids from England trying to make it in America. And we was never known for that here. We was known for doing good music, and that was it. And that's what we stand for, and that's what we stood for. And we was like, you know what? We don't want to come out like 3 young guys trying to make it in America, because, bro, what happens to the credibility with that? Like, let's be known for making 3 minutes of magic, a massive hit that's going to scorch around the whole world. Like, and that's our thing, innit? Like, so.
I mean, Chip got real lucky. When he came back in after doing that was a real lucky moment. He was embraced back into the underground after doing the whole Atlanta thing. Now, I get where you're coming from. It can often lead in a very different road if you ain't true to what you're doing.
Most definitely, man. Just as long as you got your vision, just stay true to that vision, and everything else will fall into place. You'll meet someone that's going to introduce you to someone, that introduce you to someone else. You're going to have lunch with someone that's going to manifest into something that you've already wanted. Like, so just as long as you got your vision, stick with it. Stick with it. Trust me.
You hear that? Everyone at the back, stay with the vision, stay with the dream. You know, and this is the thing as well. What's really awesome is you're able, if you do stick to that dream and that vision, you are able to garner that audience. There's enough people in the world to make your own audience. You can be whoever you want to be, right?
Most definitely. You can be, I like that saying, you can be whoever you, I'm like a humanitarian. I'll just wake up tomorrow and feel like I'm the janitor of my high school or something like that. I believe of just being like a different person every day. But you know what? With what you said, I feel like, yeah, as long as you have your vision and you have your drive and whatever it is, because anything you've ever seen in this life, someone's thought of it, innit? Do you know them ones there? Someone's thought of it, and now it's here. We use it. It's something that we use in everyday life, so no one can't tell you nothing. So have your vision and just go for it. Simple. That's my message for everyone in the world. Simple.
You hear that? You hear that shit? Yeah? It's the real deal. Yeah, man, for real. So, here we go. N-Dubz has moved on. You're in your own solo. I mean, I went deep into your solo career. There's no euphemism in that, by the way. I went deep. It was fuego. You know what I mean? I was just like, man, I forgot my G. You know what? Where? And it's awesome. It's just, your audience is like so gunning for you. Like, you've got the hardest core. And the tunes are banging. Are you producing them as well as... That's awesome. Where can we find all this information? Where can we find about FAZER?
Alright, well, I'm obviously on all of the social networks, social media. You can find me there at I am FAZER. Also, I've got my Spotify and Apple Music pages. Is also there. You can find me on there, FAZER. There's been a load of music put up over the last year, and I'm continually putting out music like monthly or every other month, and I'll be doing that for the rest of this year. I don't go half-hearted in the studio. So if you like good music, which I feel like everyone in the world's searching for, because if you're on your Spotify and you hear a song that's not very good, you're going to skip it, innit, because you're looking for a good song. So I feel like if you want to listen to some good music, I put my heart and soul into this, and I feel like I make genuinely good music. Simple. If you want to listen to it and check it out, go onto Spotify and iTunes and check it out, man. If you don't like it, then there's another million artists out there, man. You know them ones there, but I do my thing and I execute in a way where I feel proud of, and I don't go half-hearted. I'm a very, very sort of like perfectionist in the studio.
That's the way it should be. And don't be too nostalgic jumping into all those old tunes on your Spotify. It's really easy to fall down that nostalgia rabbit hole, all right? Make sure you get the newness, all right? Okay, the burning question. Is N-Dubz going to get back together once you guys have finished being super ultra Wu-Tang about this? Are you guys going to like jump back into some N-Dubz or something?
Man said super ultra Wu-Tang. I like that. Yes, N-Dubz, we always said is the base. I wouldn't be here sitting talking with you right now if it wasn't for N-Dubz and stuff like that. So for us not to do N-Dubz would be a crime in itself. And I feel like the public would want to hear new N-Dubz music, because what would it sound like? What's it gonna look like? It's mysterious. You get me? So it's gonna come, and you lot will be pleasantly surprised, because we individually we're very, very talented people. Myself, Dappy, and Talisa, and collectively as a group, something magic always happens when we're in the studio, and that's why we did what we did.
Yeah, isn't there a moment? Like, was there a moment when just like there's three of you? You know, you're like on your grind, then they're on each other's grind. Is there a moment where you turn around and go, I wanted to do what he's doing. I want to do what she's doing. Is there any of that? Is there any of that competitive spirit?
I think me and Dappy have this competitiveness with bars. Like, we've had it since we was kids, from when we started MCing, and it's like competition. It's sport. It's good. It's really good and really healthy to have with someone, because they push you to your limits. So we always had this thing of like, who's gonna have the best bar on a track, like who's gonna have the best melody, and we're best friends. I've known Dappy since I was 6 years old, so it's not the thing of like, oh, we're like enemies or rivals or anything like that. It's just like, it's just creative, like pushing each other to the best, to the max that we can. Do you know what I mean? So I like that, and we've still got it up to this day. Trust me, it's still going until now, and it pushes us to do fantastic things. So yeah.
Well, I hope it does. I hope this continues, and I hope N-Dubz does its thing. I hope it just keeps on moving for you guys, because you really are a figurehead in the urban music scene right now, for real. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a pleasure. Would you please make some noise for the mighty FAZER? My G, thank you very much. Right, well, here we are. Once again, we're inside the ride. Now, my G, hold tight, FAZER, hold tight. I hope you guys are sharing and doing your thing over at Homeland. On Homeland, I hope you're doing what you should be doing. That's sharing, making sure this thing pops lit like a Christmas tree, okay? So, without further ado, I'm going to get one of my close friends inside the ride. Ideally, he would have started at the start, but he's been stuck in traffic, and now he's inside the ride, and we're going to have a little chat. Would you please make some noise for the mouth music beatboxer, this generation's pioneer? Hold it up, turn it loose, and let's get involved. Make some noise for REEPS1! Yeah, there you go, there you go. He made it. You made it. What's all this then? What's all this? What's all this you're drinking here?
Just good service, that's what that is. So, yeah, good service, being looked after.
That's what I like. So, for those of you who don't know, Reeps1 is a human beatboxer, a bit like me. The only difference is he's sitting there and I'm sitting here. We were going to do something live, but we can't because we've got cable issues. So we're going to have a chat.
Oh, that's totally cool.
Yeah, well, it all kind of went the way it did, didn't it?
I like the fact that it's like an ongoing, like, sort of mystery, because the fact we hang out a lot, and we've, like, hung out over the last sort of, like, 5-6 years, but we still never actually done something live. There's like a ghost in the machine that's like stopping us from like collaborating.
Dude, you're so right. Now you've got me thinking about 11:11 and shit like that. Like the trains. What time was it when it happened? There's a ghost in the machine. How far have you travelled though? You're London, right?
Yeah, today I came from somewhere else, but like I grew up in Walthamstow in East London. Yeah, I've been in London my whole life, born and bred, and obviously like more recently moving around a lot. But I absolutely like love it here. I can't get enough of London City. I've actually tried to go to other places and consider living anywhere else, but this grumpy grey city seems to be like where it's at. I think it's like the best city in the world.
It's the best city in the world, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? London inside. But you do travel a lot. You do get about. There's a lot of people out there that are just living vicariously on your Instagram, and we're seeing Hong Kong, we're seeing New York, we're seeing Harvard, we're seeing like places of, you know, we're even seeing stuff pixelated now. This is new Reeps landscapes that you're creating on your. What's your mind state like when you're traveling and you're soaking up all these inspirations at every given point? How do you conduct a day in the life of Reeps?
I don't know. For some reason, my head immediately goes to the fact that like I've always associated with like an ADD process. I'm always doing about 5 or 6 things at the same time. Yeah, every time I'm traveling, every time I'm going somewhere new, like I completely embrace the chaos. Like I try to take on different. Obviously, I'm always setting different goals or trying to achieve different things on these trips. Like, for people that don't know, like, I started totally as a beatboxer. But in recent years, there became this responsibility to explore the human voice. And you wouldn't think that, like... Can I swear? Yeah, you wouldn't think a little shit from Walthamstow who spends... like thousands and thousands and thousands of hours, which is something we share, like making noises with their voice, would find this responsibility to start exploring how the human voice is evolving. That's been my job for the past 2 years, obviously still performing. So I tend to live as about 5 or 6 different reeps. So my headspace, if I'm going to go do a show at a club and do like an hour, like dark show, that's one Reeps headspace. But then if I'm going to give a talk, then I kind of take on this different personality. So basically, I'm slowly losing my mind. Is the point? I'm trying to communicate.
That's what happens with beatboxing. I think you slowly, if you don't hold it together, there is this kind of like gene within beatboxing that you do end up like kind of slowly losing your marbles to a degree, isn't it?
Yeah, 100 million%. Because it's almost like you're constantly this anomaly. Like everybody knows like a beatboxer. Obviously it has like so much novelty and YouTube culture and all these things. Everyone has like a different idea of what that is. But it never fucking leaves you. It's with you all the time. So imagine if you're a producer and you have Ableton floating around your head constantly. What ends up happening is you get a bit distracted by that. And if it becomes your passion, your love, and your job, you have this opportunity to like never stop making, never stop creating. So you have to choose your moments that you share that. But for your mates, you have this capacity to entertain for shows. And at every single level that I'm doing, I'm still the anomaly. Because like even in the academic world, I represent something that like linguistics and phoneticians just should know what the hell is going on. So it's funny that even though I've gone into these other places and started to explore these like new worlds, like you're still like the ghost in the machine. You're still the anomaly, and like that's why I love it. Who wants to be like middle of the road, like normal?
It's true, and I share all of those hallmarks of. It is like with beatboxing, sometimes it loses its own self, doesn't it? Because it doesn't always know what it is. You know, these new sounds that are coming out, or are you a drum kit? Are you an instrument? It's like so many different things that are thrown at you in terms of like where do I put myself, you know?
Yeah, no, totally. Because I think it's like it's so many different things. Like if I probably asked everybody in the room like what beatboxing is, everyone's gonna have like a different answer. Like there's like the old school like providing a beat for someone else, but in the last like sort of 10 years, there's been this explosion, this evolution, and man, like the stuff that people are doing, it's completely insane. You would never think that, because you got to remember that the human voice is like pretty old. Do you know, it's quite like an old established thing, like the voice. It's as old as like humanity itself. So like, why in the last 10 years, like a big part to do with you jammy man, it's like, why did all of these like innovations start happening? And man, people are on a mechanical level just doing things that are beyond human, beyond voice. And that's why I just think it's such an exciting time. It's so interesting.
It is a super exciting time, and it's great to be a part of it as an organism, live vicariously through, because my career, it transcends, and a lot of people, I'm seeing them come up in a particular way, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I did when I was that age, you know, shit like that, and, you know, not that I'm throwing ages into the mix, but yeah, we're going to see you perform. We're going to do this at the end. Hey, who wants to check out Reeps do his fucking thing? All right, cool. So listen, we got Deyah inside the house. Make some noise for Deyah inside the house. Yeah, that's it. We're going to get him on alongside Deyah, all right, after this. We are now going to jump straight into some VT business. We're on the floor at the moment. SJ, I know you're out there, honey. Make some noise for SJ if you're out there.
1, 2, 3, jump.
Hello, so I've just met Goldie outside, who's going to be talking on the podcast tonight. Hi, Goldie.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So I have a little question for you. Well, I saw on Instagram the other day you were in the bath in a lake and you fell in. Tell me about that. Why were you in the bath in a lake?
I don't know, it was a bit of a dare. It was just some mad thing I was on. And my friend dared me to get in this bath. It was a mad thing. And I decided to get in a bath and failed very badly. But yeah, my Instagram's just funny. I just think the more obscure and odd, because Instagram's full of a lot of people's selfies, I thought, well, if you're gonna be self, be funny self. So
it's a lot of people taking themselves too seriously, isn't it?
Yeah, that's my whole parody to it. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. Well, if you haven't seen him in the bath in a lake, then I think you bloody should.
The lake at the end, yeah. I ended up in the bottom of the lake with it. Yeah. It didn't quite work. I don't know who built those two baths, thinking they were going to be successful in the lake. It didn't work at all.
I've just met FAZER outside. Hi.
What's going on? How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm good. All the better for seeing you.
Oh, he's a charmer, is FAZER. I watched you earlier on your Instagram on the live, and you had a cute little dog. Well, actually, he's not little. He's a big dog.
My baby, man. He's a little boy, man. But he needs to stop growing. Like, literally, he needs to stop growing. He's, like, massive. Massive. He's massive.
He's so cute. Check him out. And also, on your live, you were saying that each month you're going to bring, like, a new song out. Is that right?
That's correct, man. I'm doing a consistency thing right now where I'm putting out songs monthly, bi-monthly, and yeah, I'm just going to be putting out songs for the rest of the year. Come 2019, come 2020, same process, man. The pattern's set already.
And you're producing, doing all the beats, doing everything yourself, right?
Yeah, it's 100% independent, and when I say that, it's like I produce all my own music, I write all my own music, it's my own label, I put it out myself, and I just got an online distributor that I just put my music on, and then once it's up there, I just promote the hell out of it, you know, no one's there.
All right, well, you can catch him on the actual podcast, so nice to see you. Bye. So I'm here with the notorious Poundland Bandit, and I just wanted to say that I fucking love reading the comments on your memes. Is it a meme? Oh, it's a starter pack. I don't know, whatever, your memes. I love reading the comments because everyone tries to rip him, but he just rips them a new asshole. How do you feel about all those people talking shit?
It's the same as like, I don't know, you wouldn't pay 50 quid to go see a stand-up and sit in the front row and take the piss out of him. What do you think's going to happen?
Exactly. If you guys haven't checked it out, I reckon you should read the comments because they're probably like even funnier than some of the memes. Sorry, but they are.
No, do one better. Comment.
Yeah, comment as well and see what he says to you. He's a very angry young man. This guy. I'm gonna give him a hug because I think like.
How are we feeling, ladies and gentlemen? Are we okay out there? We're over in the live room right now. We're in the live room right now. We're in the live room. We're in the area where everybody's absolutely pissed, ain't we? Everyone's had a little bit of a jar or two. Anyway, enough of that business. As you can see, we're in a different environment right now. And I'd like to introduce to you a young lady that is smashing it. Deyah inside the right. How you feeling, Deyah?
Very good, thank
you.
Yeah.
You feeling good?
Very good, yeah.
Yeah. You're London. No, it's Bracknell.
Yeah. Bracknell based, yeah.
So how
no one knows where Bracknell is.
Yeah. Does anyone know where Bracknell is?
Yeah.
Bracknell.
Okay.
But originally from Wales, right?
Yeah, South Wales, Cardiff, yeah.
There's a lot of climatising. I mean, I love Wales, man.
Yeah, it's calm.
Yeah, it's
chilled.
super calm. I'm really interested about like how you've kind of gone and developed your trajectory and your journey. Your lane is very much like quite creative. It's a very creative place, and a lot of what you're talking about has clearly has a lot of deep meaning within the context of what you go through life, right?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like if I'm going to be here once, then I might as well talk sense instead of talk rubbish. So, yeah, I'm all about helping people heal and just making sure people know that they're loved. That's pretty much what I do. Although the track I'm about to perform is a bit like, don't know, it's a bit of an angry track, funnily enough.
Is it?
There's a bit of anger, subdued anger in it.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. It's kind of what's that? It's subliminal. It's got a lot of it's like a passive kind of aggression.
Yeah. So if I
that.
Stare at any of you, I'm sorry. Like I don't mean to or anything.
Listen, everyone, come forward and check out this performance right here. We're going to get right into this. Normski's on the decks. You right there, Norm?
Having a sandwich.
Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please make some noise? What's the name of the tune, darling?
Distance.
Distance by Deyah. Would you please make some noise for Deyah?
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's cool.
Just keep your distance. I'm way too low, ain't playing the victim. I know that we'll soon. Forgive me. Shoot for the sky, kill 'em. Just keep your distance. I'm way too low, ain't playing the victim. I know that we'll soon. Forgive me. Shoot for the sky, kill 'em.
I pack light cause I got my own baggage. I can make my foot disappear down your let me show you some magic. I grow culture, de-stress in my greenhouse with the cabbage. Now I don't bun no more. When I'm vexed I just pray and I manage. My own business, sheesh. Running your mouth doesn't mean you
Don't lie.
I'm lucky, I'm on fleek. He prepares a table, a feast for you, go on, take a seat. Cause I pray for my enemies, B. I can barely focus, no focus is on me. And I can hear the locust, the pharaoh is on me. Like Moses trying to cope like I bury the OG. My demotion for promotion, I care with the OG.
Just keep your distance. I'm way too low, ain't playing the victim. I know that we'll sin. Forgive me. Shoot for the sky, kill 'em. Just keep your distance.
I do love people, really.
I'm way too low, ain't playing the victim.
Sometimes you need people to keep their distance, do you know what I mean?
I know that we'll sin. Forgive me. Shoot for the sky, kill 'em.
Too many gal wanna come with the beef. Don't mince your words, the stakes are high, speak words that you'll eat. You ask why you don't see me fight, cause my fight is beyond what you see. Driving down the A329, cops trying to pull me for heat. Imagine your life plus stress, that's me on a weekday steez. Imagine your best on the beat, that's me when I ride for the breeze. That's an example of ego I'm playing, I just write for the feast. My seat at the table will only be there if I show and we eat. And I'm in the kitchen all day, don't air me like a TV. I put the work in the hurt in the verse, then I bleed. I ain't gonna sell my soul, put my heart first before the beat. Please keep your distance from me whilst I heal. I'll see you next week. I'll be back next week. Cool. I won't be back next week really, but you know, it's part of the lyrics, innit? So unless I can come back next week, then that's all right. Cool. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Would you please make some noise for Deyah inside the ride? Where you at? Awesome, thank you so much, Diane. Where can we get this on? We get this on Spotify and all the raisins?
Spotify, Apple, literally anywhere music is, that's where I am.
There it is, there it is. Thank you, sweetheart. Once again, make some noise for Deyah inside the ride. Right, we're going to try something. We're going to try something. 1, 2. Where's this microphone? It's not working again. Let's make this happen. We got REEPS1 in the building. Reeps in the building. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Right, okay, listen, this mic ain't on again, okay, so we're going to do this properly. Yeah, you start. Okay. Hello. Magic. Yeah. Oh yeah. Would you make some noise for my G, Reeps1? Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for holding tight and hanging out. We managed to get this together in the end. You know what it is. So this is the Killa Kela Livestream show. Thank you so much for joining in and being part of it. Massive shout outs to Goldie. Make some noise for Goldie. Massive shout out to Poundland Bandit. Make some noise for Poundland Bandit. Yeah. Big shout out to FAZER. Big shout out to Deyah. Big shout out to Reeps1. We've done the whole 360, the street culture thing. And without it, wouldn't be here. Would you please make some noise for SJ and Normski, my co-hosts, okay? Come on, SJ, get on this one here. Come on. Big shout out to Jay, big shout out to Teddy, big shout out to Guam, big shout out to everybody. And more importantly, big shout out to the shop for having us here. The shop. Right, so listen, here's what we're going to do. I think we're going to have a little drink or two and get the bar busy, okay? Thank you so much for being here, guys. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Hold tight, Dave, baby. Stanton Warriors. I mean, the list goes on, okay? Stay lucky, people. Do not sleep. I repeat, do not sleep on my repeat. Killa Kela. Thank you. Peace.